Hello, this is Swipe, coming up.
How do you create a supercar? We go behind the scenes at McLaren Automotive. Elsewhere, I've been finding out what shock absorbent really means. And Assassin's Creed returns in this week's Games Review.
Welcome to Swipe from McLaren Automotive HQ. Building any car is a complex process, but putting together a supercar like this one is something else altogether. And as you'd expect from a company with Formula One heritage, technology plays a big part. Here's Will.
Every 40 minutes, a new car rolls off this production line. McLaren's been making supercars here in Woking since 2011, and technology plays a huge part in what they do. This looks like a real car, but what you're actually looking at is a computer graphic. Designers use special software to turn initial sketches into fully formed designs, both in clay and digitally.
It's quite simplistic to develop the environment for the driver. We can digitize this information. We measure it. We use laser scanning techniques to take this information into a virtual environment, into a CAD environment, and then we use that as the basis for the designs.
As soon as the design's been signed off, it heads to the production centre, where the manufacturing begins. Once you've got a chassis, a robot measures it, checking that everything matches up with the original design. But once that's finished, the computers start to disappear.
It takes a lot of advanced technology to get a car to this point. But once it arrives here, things get a lot more hands-on. Every car is hand-painted and there are no robots putting things together.
The paint job is an important part of the process. By choosing to do it by hand, McLaren can mix up pretty much any colour you want. This would be much harder to achieve if robots were in control.
The last impression we want when you come and visit here is an image of handcraftsmanship. The fact that there are no robots, there are no conveyors, it really is the attention to detail and obsession. But actually all the science sits in the background, so the whole building is Wi-Fi'd. Every time we make a critical fastening, every time we add a part to the car, that's all captured automatically. So it's a very automated system, but the science sits in the background, the magic is up front.
Despite the emphasis on hand finishing, there's no hiding the fact that these cars rely on highly advanced technology. But could the search for ultimate precision end up taking the love out of the driving experience?
You're spending more than £100,000 on a car. You want it to be at the cutting edge, but, and this is the kicker, it can't be to the detriment of the fun that the car provides you. So the performance and the technology has to be there, but the interactivity and it's an emotional purchase when you buy a sports car, so that can't be lost through technology.
Creating a supercar is a complex process that takes thousands of hours. But all the driver really cares about is what it feels like when you put your foot down. Will Sargent, Sky News.
You're watching Swipe, still to come.
I'll be strength testing a new grade of impact protection material being used to make phone cases.
But first, here's a roundup of some of this week's other tech news.
Mobile World Congress arrived in Barcelona this week, the event where some of the biggest tech firms launched their latest devices. Samsung made headlines with two new waterproof smartphones, the S7 and the S7 Edge. But the launch was overshadowed somewhat by Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg. The billionaire made an appearance to push virtual reality for social media. Samsung's throwing in Gear VR headsets with its new phones, and it's also selling 360-degree video cameras. LG is working on similar technology. Away from Barcelona, it looks like Google's robots are getting smarter. The company's released video of the Atlas robot walking around, stacking parcels and getting up after being pushed over. It uses sensors in its body and legs to balance, while those in its head help it to avoid obstacles. And take a look at this video from space. Astronaut Scott Kelly, dressed as a gorilla, chases fellow spaceman Tim Peake around the International Space Station. Kelly made the video to celebrate his imminent return to Earth after almost a year. He tweeted, "Needed a little humour to lighten up a year in space." British astronaut Tim Peake won't be back on Earth until June.
This is essentially the skeleton of a McLaren car. The black is carbon fibre. It's lightweight, and strong. Talking strength, one company contacted the Swipe team recently claiming to have phone cases made out of a super strong material, tough enough for the battlefield. So naturally I went along to try and do some damage.
So this is our deep throat raw material.
Uh-huh.
It's a thick liquid.
It looks pretty gooey for something allegedly super tough.
We already use this in our sports and military markets.
And now it's being used as a phone protector.
Yes, we are. And we're going to prove that to you today.
Okay.
So firstly, I'm going to wrap this around my hand and you're going to impact it with a hammer.
Ooh, yeah, I can do that.
Secondly, we're going to drop a bowling ball on it. And thirdly, we're going to drop a phone case. Okay, Gemma, hit my fingers as hard as you can.
Okay, brace yourself. That's as hard as I can go.
Okay. Look, okay, no problem.
For this test, we begin by watching what happens when a bowling ball is dropped onto a ceramic tile covered by a layer of standard protective foam. And now what happens when it's covered by a layer of traditional D3O? But how will the phone case using the company's new grade material fare when it's dropped onto steel? Looks like it survived.
You see, the thing is, Phil, when I've dropped a phone in the past, it's the screen that's smashed, not really the handset. So how protective can this be for that?
Well, this phone case has been designed by Gear 4 with raised sides, so that protects the screen.
All right, but what if I drop it in a puddle?
Don't drop it in a puddle.
We're going to change gear now, excuse the pun, and take a look at a few new games. And it's a spooky one this week. We've got plenty of zombies and a new Assassin's Creed. Here's Lucy.
Walking Dead Michonne is the latest sort of mini-series that Telltale Games are doing with the Walking Dead franchise. When you meet Michonne in the comic and in the show, she's, katana wielding, she's a badass, she's got these 2 dismembered zombies tagging around with her. So this new game is sort of filling in those gaps and giving Michonne this backstory, introducing some key characters that are important to her. You control Michonne and you can walk around and you can interact with various people, your environment. You also have to fight some zombies, but what they're amazing at is storytelling. And if you've played any Telltale game before, you know that it's going to be hard-hitting, it's going to be emotional, and it's really going to be an experience. Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2 is a third-person shooter using the famous mobile franchise Plants vs. Zombies. And ordinarily you would think those two things wouldn't go together. But the original Garden Warfare showed that it did, and it makes for a great third-person shooting experience. It's a lot of fun. There's about 14 different characters you can pick, so you can choose like a mad scientist zombie, or you can have a citrus fruit, or you can have a cactus that's also a sniper. It's crazy, but honestly, when you play it, it makes sense. There's a bunch of customizations, so throughout the game you earn sort of currency, and you can use that to buy sticker packs. And inside a random, you don't know what you're going to get, but you can get different weapons, different sort of cosmetics, so you can have all these different types of customization. Assassin's Creed Identity. So it is basically an action-adventure RPG. You take control of an assassin and you customize it, so you can pick from different classes. So you can choose to be like a brute force attacking assassin, or you can just choose to be one that specializes really in stealth and backstabbing and laying traps. So it offers a bit of customization that way. It's set in Renaissance Italy, so if you've played the series before, you know that basically the best games in the series are set in Renaissance Italy, Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood. So it takes you back to that time period. There's a bunch of story missions. You can explore places like the Colosseum. Obviously you have to assassinate some people, but it's interesting, and it's basically Assassin's Creed on an iPad or an iOS device, and I think that's quite cool.
Well, that's it from here at McLaren's Production Centre. Join us again next time for more Swipe. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.